Hey, I'm going to show you how to create that dreamy Clairo vibe on the piano by looking at the song Add Up My Love. It's actually really simple. This song only has 3 chords in it that just repeat, and these chords are what create that dreamy Clairo vibe. Quite simply, they are major 7th chords, okay? This chord here. This is one of the most dreamy chords on the piano, and there's a specific reason for that. Okay, so let me play this chord here. So this is an A flat major in its most grounded position. Okay, so we've got this A flat major triad, and at the top we're adding that A flat to create this octave. Okay, so it's a very stable chord, right? To create the major 7th chord, all we need to do is lower that top note a half step, and that's how you get the major 7th chord. Now, because it's a half step away from the root of the chord, it creates this kind of tension, and it means that the chord isn't actually fully resolved. It's kind of floating, and that's how we create that dreamy vibe, and Clairo uses these chords a lot, okay? In fact, a lot of jazz music, a lot of dreamy music will use these chords, okay? Now, let's take a look at the chord progression of this song. So it goes like this. Right? That's essentially it. Those are the 2 main chords, and then there's another chord at the end of the progression, but we'll get to that in a second. So we start with this A flat major 7th chord that we've already looked at. Now, here we have a slightly different position. We've got an octave in the left hand, an A flat octave. Okay? Now in the right hand, we've got a C minor triad. Now, the way that this works is that from that root note, we go up to the major 3rd, which is C, and then from that C, we create a minor triad. And that is another way that we can construct these major 7th chords. Okay? Now the melody lowers from that G to that F to the E flat, and then we land on the next chord, right? So it's kind of like this. And then, for the E flat major chord, we follow the same principle that I just showed you. We've got this E flat octave in the left hand, go up to the major 3rd, which is G, and then create a minor triad on that G, and then we have our E flat major 7 chord. Okay, now the melody here follows the same thing, where it's like, starts in the pinky, bounces to this 4th finger on C, and then the middle finger on B flat, okay? Like this. Now, another thing that Clairo does a lot to create this dreamy effect is by using syncopation. So these chords are not straight at all, okay? They're kind of like falling and dancing around the beat, if that makes sense, okay? So hopefully you can hear me tapping the beat with my foot, but just listen to how these chords come slightly before the beat. I'll play them slowly. Right? Notice it's got this like falling effect. We're falling into the beat, right? This is what's called playing on the and, okay? So these chords are coming in on the ands of the beat, and when we do that, it can create this kind of dreamy effect. Again, it's not grounded, right? It's just kind of like falling into the beat. So that's what's going on here with this chord progression. And then at the end of the chord progression, we have this. Okay, so they go to this C minor chord, and this is just a grounded C minor chord, okay? C octave, E flat, G, C. And that's it. Those are the chords of the song, okay? For the verse and for the chorus. Now, let's take a look at the melody, okay? I think there's one main idea that this melody follows that you can follow, which is that we can just highlight the notes of this C minor shape in the right hand. like that, okay? Firstly, what I'm doing here in the left hand is I'm adding a bit of movement by using an arpeggio. Okay, that's another way that you can create a dreamy effect on the piano, is to play arpeggios. What we're doing here is we're playing the root, the 5, the octave, the 5. And we're doing that on the A flat and the E flat. It's the same pattern. All you need to do is just shift the hand shape from this A flat being the octave there, and then this E flat being the octave, and then you're adding that second finger. Okay, if you have seen any of my videos, you've probably seen this pattern. It's literally the most versatile thing to play on the piano. Okay, so that's what I'm doing in the left hand. Now, for the melody, what I'm doing here is I'm just highlighting that C minor triad. Okay, so I'm descending that C minor and then descending from F. Same notes, up to the E flat. And then as we go to this E flat chord, the melody does something like that, right? D, E flat, D, alternating like that to the B flat. Okay, and then that C minor, and then if you want to come into the chorus, what we can do on the piano is we can add a sense of dynamics, okay? So you can bring it down here a little bit and make it just stronger. Okay, another thing that we can do when you come back to the verse to kind of pull the dynamics back is you can play these major 7th chords just in the left hand. Okay, so this is going to be our A flat major 7 chord. Again, you can follow the first principle that I showed you at the start of this video. We have the A flat major in its standard position, the thumb having that A flat, but just lowering down a half step to G. A flat major 7, and you can just hold that chord. Right, and then we'll do the same thing for E flat. By the way, if you want a full system for actually understanding how chords work and how intervals work and like major thirds, minor thirds, how to construct triads, arpeggios, and so much more, then check out Unlock the Keyboard Pro. It's literally a full system, and it's laid out in a clear map that you can follow based on what you want to achieve. So if you want to write songs, there's a map specifically for you. Okay, so we can just hold these major 7th chords. So that would look like this with the melody. Now, if you want to learn exactly what the melody is, I've pretty much given you the groundwork, and I would recommend that you actually go to the song and learn it by ear, okay? Ear training is the best thing that you can do in music. Well, hands down, one of the best things that you can do. And there are so many reasons for that. It would take me an hour to explain. But yeah, if you did want to learn exactly what the melody is, definitely do that. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is a way that you can really create this dreamy effect on the piano, which is to play arpeggios up and down the piano. Or let's just do up, okay? Let's keep it simple. So we're gonna basically take these shapes that we've already got in hands, and we're gonna do that, right? So essentially, we're just going up this root 5 octave first in the left hand, and then up that C minor shape. And then we're moving that whole thing up an octave. So now we're doing that root 5 octave there, up an octave in the left hand. C minor there, up there as well, right? And you want to create this smooth movement. And then you can do it for the E flat as well. Okay, so that's the end of the tutorial. We covered a whole bunch of stuff. Hopefully you learned something in this video and you can create that dreamy Clairo vibe on the piano. If you want one-on-one coaching and direct guidance from me, I do offer that. There's a link in the description and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Good luck with your piano adventures and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.